I'm Chauncey Navarro. Welcome back to Inspired Word, where we're in chapter 20 in the book of the Revelation of Jesus. Now, chapter 20, we're going to be actually breaking it down into at least 3 videos because of the fact that we'll be starting out with the intro here, going into the Millennium Kingdom. And then as I go into the Millennium Kingdom, I'm going to do another video in the book of Ezekiel that covers what's going to be going on during the Millennium Kingdom. So as we start out here in verse 1 of chapter 20, it goes on to say, "Then I saw an angel coming down from heaven, holding in his hand the key to the bottomless pit. And he had a great chain. And he seized the dragon, that ancient serpent, who is the devil and Satan, and bound him for 1,000 years." Now, it's funny because this is one of those areas that you run into where everyone always kind of goes, okay, wait a second here. They threw the false prophet and the Antichrist into the lake of fire, and Satan gets bound for 1,000 years? Well, what's with that? I mean, why didn't God throw Satan into the lake of fire here? Why does he bind him for 1,000 years and then let him loose again 1,000 years later, right? And I think a lot of times the real problem we run into on this is a misconception of Satan. And the way this kind of people look at it a lot of times is, well, there's these 2 great powers that are fighting for our soul, God and Satan, but we know that God's going to win. Well, that's not it at all. Basically, there's no great powers fighting against each other. This isn't God against Satan. If God doesn't want Satan around, he snaps his finger, boom, he's gone. If you look at Job chapter 1 and 2, as you go through this, you start seeing that Satan can't do anything unless he gets permission from God first. He's the accuser of the brethren. He's the prosecution, so to speak, in this legal system here. And he is what tests us to prove whether we are gods or not. There's only 2 groups of people with God, and that's saints and ain'ts, and that's it. God doesn't break into denominations or races or creeds or anything like that. Basically, you're either his or you're not. Anyway, as we're moving on in here, it goes on to say, "And he threw him into the pit and shut it and sealed it over him, so that he might not deceive the nations any longer until the 1,000 years were ended. After that, he must be released for a little while." Now, once again, we're going into this Millennium Kingdom right here, right? This is the beginning of this 1,000-year reign of peace and prosperity. But what you're going to see as we get through this chapter, that at the end of this 1,000 years of peace and prosperity, Satan is let loose again and deceives the nations once again. So what's going to happen on here is, basically you've got a generation that grows up during this Millennium Kingdom, during this 1,000-year reign, that didn't go through the trib, that didn't, really know about these things, and they have to be tested as well.